we would be right now going to the panel with the student session on how the students look forward to a modern university. We once again thank this wonderful panel. We have learned so much from them, and I think this panel have discussed a lot about how young women can reflect on these matters of discussions that they have highlighted on. And indeed, this is time to hear from the young women. To moderate this session, I would like to welcome Ms. Ikram Yusi from Iesisco. Ms. Ikram has a master's in international relations and diplomacy and currently working with Islamic World Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organizations. Ms. Ikram.
Good afternoon, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to our fourth and final session of this amazing event in which we all feel so lucky to be a part of. We've heard so many testimonies, stories, and analyses from different inspiring women from all over the Islamic world and beyond, working and pioneering in the field of higher education. Speaking of higher education, we cannot forget the role that universities play in teaching and developing the future generation of pioneering women we all need, hope to encounter, and aspire to be. That is why the theme of this session is how the students look forward to a modern university. Our guest this evening is one of the best groups of students from all over our member states who have already distinguished themselves as strong, hardworking, and resilient women excelling in their fields of studies, whom I ask to join me on stage. Please welcome with me Audrey Zay Ajoba from Rwanda, Nisreen Lshgar from Morocco, Siti Fatma bint Muhammad Abdullah Inamullah from Malaysia, who I'm sure will join us shortly. She's just stuck in traffic. Thioro Gay from Senegal, Faiza Bello from Nigeria, Ramatoulaye Aka from Senegal. Our first speaker is pursuing a PhD in Humanities and Social Sciences at the Doctoral Study Center of the Euro-Mediterranean University of Fas. She's also a lecturer in research methodology and holds a Master of Business and Option Management Finance from the École Supérieure de Gestion de Paris and a Master of Research in Mineral Resource Development from the University of Annaba. Please welcome Audrey Nze Ajoba.
Son Excellence, Monsieur le Directeur de l'Iesisco, Mesdames et Messieurs les représentants des corps diplomatiques, Mesdames et Messieurs les directeurs d'entreprises universitaires et chers invités, en vos rangs, grades et qualités, je vous salue. Alors en fait, je voudrais préciser que je ne suis pas rwandaise, je suis ivoirienne. Alors pour entamer le dernier panel de cette conférence internationale de la femme leader, nous tenons à vous exposer la position de la jeune fille en milieu universitaire cas de l'Université euro-méditerranéenne de Fès. Alors, je ne saurais entamer mon discours sans parler de Fatima Al-Firi, la fondatrice de la plus ancienne université du monde, dont l'on ne cessera de tarir d'éloges pour son élan et sa vision. Alors, cette érudite nous permet donc d'analyser en fait la place de la femme au sein de notre société éducative. Certes, des facteurs sociologiques, historiques et même les fonctionnements organisationnels ont ralenti la production et la diffusion des connaissances pour la jeune fille. Et la littérature nous expose donc qu'une femme sur 3 arrive à être maître de conférence, tandis qu'une femme sur 10 personnes, sur 10 hommes du moins, arrive à être professeur d'université. Alors avec l'implémentation des objectifs du développement durable, l'université doit rendre compte des retombées de ses diplômes en termes d'insertion professionnelle pour les femmes. Nous avons donc fait une enquête au sein de notre université, qui est un projet royal de Sa Majesté Mohamed VI, que Dieu le bénisse. On constate une quasi-équitabilité et une égalité au sein du personnel administratif, où les hommes occupent majoritairement les postes de responsabilité. Et également une légère hausse au niveau du recrutement des hommes suite à la crise Covid-19. Alors, au niveau du corps enseignant, en cette année, les hommes occupent toujours un ratio encore plus élevé que celui des femmes, ce qui explique donc leur capacité à évoluer en grade et à s'orienter plus au niveau de la recherche. Alors, au niveau des étudiants, nous constatons qu'avant les années 2018, nous avions 30 à 40% des filles inscrites, toutes disciplines confondues. Et après 2019, les filles y sont majoritairement, avec un taux de réussite considérable. À travers cet échantillon, on peut donc noter une démasculinisation des filières, ce qui inclut donc la mixité au sein de nos différentes disciplines que nous avons. Mais malheureusement, nous constatons qu'au niveau de l'école d'ingénierie d'intelligence artificielle, les hommes sont encore majoritaires au sein de cette école. Alors, les motivations de nos étudiantes s'établissent donc sur leur autonomisation financière, l'accessibilité à l'emploi, l'intégration sociale, la réalisation de leurs ambitions et surtout le développement de leurs capacités intellectuelles. Au sein de notre entité, les jeunes filles se sont challengées, valorisées, respectées, épanouies. Et contre toutes attentes, elles se sentent égales aux jeunes hommes. Malheureusement, elles rencontrent des défis liés aux stéréotypes négatifs, des contraintes financières. Elle est sujette au harcèlement et autres formes de violence, ce qui détériore entre autres sa santé mentale et la confiance en soi. Son plus grand défi serait donc son accès à l'emploi. Alors, pour l'université de demain qui se veut un campus durable de référence, il faudrait améliorer la qualité de l'apprentissage et les pratiques pédagogiques avec l'accélération du e-learning. Ceci étant, la gouvernance des universités est devenue donc un enjeu théorique et politique. Des mises en œuvre de politiques pionnières s'imposent au service de l'innovation, tout en proposant aux étudiantes de travailler directement sur des projets concrets apportés par des entreprises, assainir et sécuriser l'environnement psychologique de la jeune fille à travers des campagnes de sensibilisation, faire la promotion des femmes créatrices d'entreprises issues de la recherche, financer et octroyer des bourses pour des filles excellentes, mais également pour celles venant des milieux défavorisés. Des financements également pour ces filles, femmes, mères, pour la reprise de leurs études, surtout en âge avancé. Alors nous recommandons donc pour améliorer le système et faciliter l'intégration de la jeune fille, des ateliers de public speaking, des coachings, des mentors de mentorat pour valoriser et galvaniser la jeune fille, ainsi que de la flexibilité des plannings pour l'auto-formation, en particulier les MOOC. Alors, je voudrais donc emmener à une réflexion, celle de l'émancipation des hommes, afin de l'affranchir de cette forme d'organisation sociale où il détient le rôle dominant. Alors, pour conclure, je termine mes propos en remerciant la direction de l'Iesesco, ses différents partenaires, Dr Omar, mon mentor, le directeur professeur Tenkoul, pour le positionnement et cette opportunité qui nous a été offerte de pouvoir participer à cette conférence internationale des femmes leaders. Je vous remercie.
Our next speaker is a full-time PhD student in the agricultural field using artificial intelligence and embedded systems with an engineering degree from INSA Euromed Engineering School, majoring in electrical engineering. Please welcome Nisreen Lishkar.
Hello everyone. First of all, I want to say that I'm very delightful and pleasured to be addressing you on the second day of conference. And also, I want to admit that when I first heard about the conference and received the invitation, I kept on wondering what I could say in front of such high-positioned people and inspiring people on higher education that you don't already know. And here I am, a fresh engineer, but most of all, a full-time PhD student, talking about my expectation of the universities. So, without further ado, my part of presentation will be about today's universities versus tomorrow's universities through context, challenges, and prospects. And in this 5 minutes of presentation, I want to start by saying that no one can deny the fact that higher education is the development of human resources for the growth of every nation. Therefore, it is not only an investment for the present, but most of all for the future. And in this part, I just want to add an inspiring quote given by one of the queens of the Arab world. And I quote Queen Rania of Jordan when she said, "If we educate a woman, we educate a family. And if we educate a girl, we educate the future." An inspiring quote that matches really well with this conference, and which means that the education is the basic components of the social cohesion and the national identity. However, as any type of sector, it faces a lot of challenges. And also, we can see many perspectives that I had the pleasure to be inspired by such inspiring women in these 2 days of conference. And in my part, I'll be talking about the equity and the quality of education, where unfortunately, most of the challenges related to the women are related to the culture of their family or the culture of her society, where, for example, where girls take on domestic responsibilities or get married off at an early age, it tends on reducing their interest in studies. Therefore, even with a high quota enrollment in higher education, the number of graduate or female workers is decreasing. Therefore, we have to mitigate the risk of dropout and inspire those students that they can, and with their families too, that they can be in leader positionships afterward. Also, we have to ensure a good quality of education in order to attract them with the studies. And in my opinion, skills over the degrees may be the reality of the future that we are looking forward to. So with more automated and digitalized life, the universities of today aren't coping up with the future and the evolution of the world. So we have to readapt this education system where it evolves according to the demand of the consumers. And in this case, students, teachers, and the industries, where, for example, industries are trying to shift their focus away from just having the degrees into new ways of measuring the employees' abilities. And these skills, in this part, we are talking about his skills, soft skills, that make the difference between each student with the same degree. So, students should be empowered with education. And for example, they should take on courses that prepare them for real-world problems. Let them explore and innovate in their field. Shape their personalities with wide vision and in-depth understanding of the situation at hand. Make those years of studies a powerful tool in not only their years of study, but a lifelong continuous process. So, I should say that in the education, it should be a resilient, evolutive system that matches the evolution of the world, the evolution of the job market, and also make the students have those skills that make the differentiation of him with other people in the industries. And so many things can be said in these perspectives. However, we should all know that all of those ideas are in favor of the student to make the future graduate a huge asset in this society. And I would like to thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Nasreen, for your input. Thank you so much. Next up, our speaker is a young lady who I believe is the youngest of the group, who moved all the way from Malaysia to pursue a bachelor's in international relations and psychology at Al Akhawain University. Please welcome Sitti Fatma.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Nama saya Siti Fatima, which means my name is Siti Fatima in Malay. I am from Malaysia, Kedah. One of the first Malaysian women to achieve great heights in the country is Tun Dr. Siti Hasma, the wife of Malaysia's and Southeast Asia's longest-serving Prime Minister, Dr. Tun Mahathir bin Mohamad. She's one of our first female Malay doctors, the first to graduate from the Faculty of Medicine at University of Malaya in Singapore, and also the first woman to be appointed medical officer at the Maternal and Child Health Department in Chitra, Kedah, which is the state that I was born in. So she once said, "I want to see young people today have a good life in the future. They have a lot of aspirations, but you must have education. Know what is happening in your country and help society." One of the challenges that I want to highlight on today is just on one thing and one thing only, which is the social system. And allow me to be direct and as honest that, from my opinion and just from my point of perspective, as just an undergraduate student. I believe that the social system is designed to demand a high price, where people in power do things for more selling points for their selfish aims. We all know that education is becoming more expensive. Let's not deny that. Therefore, education becomes much more remote, where the privileged gains and the poor remain. We must not shy away from these political agendas just because they're not the same class, community, race, religion, or not the same part of the world. Then what? It's just their problem? But my dearest brothers and sisters, the truth is, what about the thousands of Native American children that were forced and taken away from their families, sent to government-run boarding schools, and during their commencement speech, they said, quote, let all that is Indian within you die. Now think about that for a second, because their main goal is to destroy their way of life. And what about their airstrikes in the Gaza Strip that demolished the universities and schools? And what about the 15-year-old girl who was set to fire recently by her rapist, which was her own family member? And what about the stigma surrounding sexual harassment, which we all have heard of, that happened here in this very country recently, earlier this year? Truth is, there are women that's largely uneducated, women at great risk of sexual violence, but they all lived in silence. And the deadly strikes us too. Now, I want to highlight also on the issue on how education is emphasizing more on material success. Of course, we need to have money, big houses, nice cars, but this whole idea is kind of shaping the children into, I have to be a doctor, I have to be an engineer, but why not I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer? There's a huge difference. In my opinion, this is destroying the diversity and the capability of human individual of I want to, rather than I have to. Well, we tend to lose ourselves in the way once we're educated. We forget where we come from, or we forget our language. But yet again, let's pause for a while and think that we have this opportunity of, being the educated, and we have this privilege of having such a big platform and use that wisely, kindly, sincerely, and spread it. Because we all know here that we all will live this world at the end of the day, and it's unto the future generations. So we must step out of our comfort zone to learn, seek the tools that will help us persevere in this life, and to spread that and help build bridges, help build bridges on what's dividing us, right? So we are responsible for future generations. And I would like to conclude with, I personally think that I believe that learning is not all about making money, but about becoming better, conscious human beings who make the world a better place. Because if we don't, then are we truly living a worthwhile life? I would like to end a quote from a book that I read, Decolonizing the Mind by Ngugi Wam. Quote, "It is a call for the discovery of the real language of humankind, the language of struggle. It is the universal language underlying all speech and words of our history. Struggle. Struggle makes history. Struggle makes us. In struggle is our history, our language, and our being." Thank you very much. Terima kasih. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much, Siti Fatima. That was very inspiring and beautiful. I would also like to call now a student who has a bachelor's and master's degree in political science from the Faculty of Legal and Political Sciences of the Sheikh Anta Diop University of Dakar. She is currently a doctoral student at the Center for Global Studies of the SPGS College of the International University of Rabat. Please welcome with me Thioro Gueye.
Merci. C'est vraiment un honneur de participer à cette conférence de haut niveau, à l'image des profils des participantes, mais aussi de l'intérêt de la thématique abordée. Je m'appelle Thioro Gueye, d'origine sénégalaise. Je suis doctorante en sciences politiques à l'Université internationale de Rabat. Et donc, je travaille sur les questions sécuritaires au Sahel, notamment sur l'intervention des forces armées étrangères au Mali. Alors, pour respecter le timing, je vais un peu dans ma communication démarrer par revenir sur la question des pesanteurs socio-culturelles face aux enjeux de la représentativité des femmes dans le milieu de l'enseignement supérieur. Ensuite, partager mon point de vue quant à l'avenir des femmes dans ce milieu et terminer par décliner quelques attentes. En effet, il me paraît un peu difficile d'aborder la question de la place des femmes dans le milieu de l'enseignement supérieur sans s'intéresser simultanément à la scolarisation des filles ainsi qu'à l'évolution de leur cursus. Donc, ils sont des étapes qui conditionnent l'accès à l'université. Et à cela, l'influence de l'environnement socioculturel devient un aspect non négligeable dans l'analyse, surtout en ce qui concerne dans nos sociétés africaines. Alors aujourd'hui, il nous faut admettre quand même que plusieurs initiatives visant à promouvoir le leadership féminin à l'image de ce qui nous réunit aujourd'hui sont mises en œuvre, et ce, à tous les niveaux, au niveau international, régional, sous-régional, tout comme au niveau national. Cependant, le constat est, comme nous l'avons vu, les femmes, malgré l'existence de plusieurs dispositions visant à créer les conditions d'accès dans les instances décisionnelles, elles sont toujours sous-représentées. Et ceci concerne aussi le milieu de l'enseignement supérieur, où les postes stratégiques tels que les recteurs, chefs de département, directeurs, entre autres, semblent encore être réservés aux hommes. Et ce qui révèle un petit peu que les réponses institutionnelles sont certes nécessaires, mais doivent être accompagnées par un renforcement donc, des programmes de sensibilisation, dans la mesure où le principal problème est que la perception, surtout dans nos sociétés africaines bien sûr, la perception de l'image de la femme intellectuelle reste dominée donc, par des stéréotypes culturels sexistes. Cela dit, je reste quand même optimiste quant à l'avenir des femmes, au rayonnement des femmes dans ce milieu. Il y a du progrès et nous le confirmons, même si ce progrès varie d'une société à une autre, d'un milieu à un autre. J'ai obtenu ma licence et mon master à l'Université Cheikh Anta Diop de Dakar en sciences politiques, l'université que j'ai intégrée en 2013, et jusqu'à aujourd'hui, les amphithéâtres restent dominés par une forte présence masculine. Quand je suis arrivée à l'Université internationale de Rabat, c'est tout le contraire que j'ai observé plutôt. J'ai été chargée de cours pendant 2 ans dans 2 masters, et ces 2 masters sont principalement dominés par une présence féminine. Après, le milieu de l'enseignement supérieur, il faut de la patience dans ce secteur, parce qu'il faut passer par plusieurs étapes avant d'intégrer le milieu universitaire, d'autant plus qu'il faut beaucoup de motivation pour s'engager en thèse, mais aussi encore plus de motivation pour continuer la thèse. Et donc, pour conclure, je vais décliner quelques attentes en tant que jeune chercheur. Et donc, pour moi, il faut impérativement continuer à corriger donc, ces stéréotypes vis-à-vis de l'image de la femme intellectuelle dans nos sociétés. Il faudra aussi légiférer pour assurer la parité au sein des postes stratégiques dans nos universités, recruter davantage d'enseignantes, parce que pour appliquer cette parité-là, il faudrait au préalable qu'il y ait une certaine représentativité, donc une certaine présence féminine, et aussi médiatiser donc l'excellence féminine dans ce domaine, qui seront des modèles pour nous autres jeunes chercheurs. Je vous remercie de votre attention.
Last but not least, I would like to call Ramatoulaye Akay, who is a third-year student in l'UIR University of Rabat, studying in Information and Communication, please.
Alors, bonjour tout le monde. Son Excellence, Monsieur le directeur de l'Iésisco. C'est un plaisir pour moi d'être ici, d'être parmi vous et d'intervenir sur ce thème très intéressant qui est un thème mondial et que nous tous, nous nous concertons pour essayer de trouver un consensus et de régler les problèmes qui se trouvent dans cette situation. Alors, je me présente, je m'appelle Ramatoulaye Aka. Je suis étudiante en 3e année à l'Institut supérieur de l'information et de la communication de Rabat, à l'ISIC. Je suis chroniqueuse et actuellement stagiaire à la SNRT, Société nationale des radios et télévisions. Donc, pour commencer, je tenais à féliciter les précédentes panélistes qui nous ont fourni des informations vraiment enrichissantes. Mais mon intervention va plus s'accentuer sur le leadership et la société. Parce que c'est bien beau de parler qu'il y a une forte présence féminine dans les universités, c'est vraiment très beau. Mais aujourd'hui, je tenais vraiment à dénoncer les problèmes que subissent ces femmes, que moi je suis en train de subir, que certaines parmi vous sont en train de subir dans l'éducation, dans l'enseignement supérieur. Alors, pour ceux qui viennent de nous rejoindre, l'enseignement supérieur permet généralement aux femmes d'acquérir des compétences requises pour occuper les postes clés de l'élaboration des politiques dans tous les domaines, mais aussi dans des clés et de l'élaboration politique dans tous les domaines. Mais plusieurs obstacles empêchent la participation des femmes au processus décisionnel. Autrement dit, les femmes rencontrent des obstacles, à savoir l'accès limité à l'éducation, en particulier à l'enseignement supérieur, les pratiques discriminatoires, même si c'est parfois déguisé, en matière de nomination et de processus, le stress inhérent à la nécessité pour les femmes de concilier leur rôle au sein de la famille et sur le marché du travail, l'harcèlement, les attitudes familiales, les interruptions de carrière, les amputés précaires temps partiel. Et pourtant, le leadership des femmes sera synonyme de rénovation et de progrès de l'institution universitaire. Il s'agit là d'une évolution des mentalités indispensables si l'on veut que l'enseignement supérieur et universitaire puisse effectivement contribuer au processus de développement. Alors, de là, je tenais à placer la femme pas dans une position hiérarchique, mais comme une posture dans la société. Pour moi, le leadership féminin évoque plusieurs postures. Une posture qui, au niveau hiérarchique, cette conduite est associée à certains soft skills plus développés comme le charisme, l'intelligence émotionnelle, un altruisme fort et un management d'influence, des savoir-être plus liés aux capacités relationnelles. De là, certaines femmes en bénéficient, d'autres ont 7 caractères, mais leur problème est de s'assumer en tant que femme et leader. Alors, comment se manifeste le leadership féminin? Assumer une liberté de ton et d'action pour ne pas avoir peur de dire et de faire ce qui semble juste, tout en se libérant du regard des autres, ne laisser passer aucune remarque, aucun commentaire et aucune situation inappropriée sous le prétexte de l'humour. Alors, pourquoi le leadership féminin est important? Ici, il s'agit d'une compétence. À part que toutes les femmes d'entreprise ont un intérêt à développer, le leadership permet à l'individu de s'épanouir dans son travail et à l'équipe d'avancer dans de meilleures conditions. Les femmes leaders constituent un immense atout pour l'entreprise. Et pour finir, il serait très intéressant aussi d'évoquer le thème de leadership stratégique qui fournit une vision claire, leader visionnaire. En communiquant l'orientation au moyen et long d'une organisation, il apporte les mécanismes pour lesquels les organisations encouragent et soutiennent l'innovation et la création des connaissances. Donc, ce fut tout pour mon intervention d'aujourd'hui. Merci et merci de m'avoir invité. Merci.
Apologies to the guests, but I believe our last speaker has arrived. Her name is Faiza Bello. Can she please join the stage?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bello Faiza, and I'm a student here in Morocco from Nigeria. I'm 21 years old, and I have just 5 minutes. So I'm here to just give a short intervention on the future of university education and its system in the 22nd century. It's really a short intervention. First off, we're in a time of unmatched growing technological change, and we've seen how the educational system hasn't been sustaining, and we wonder if the current education system future-proof students. Currently, the educational teaching system is still firmly rooted in the 21st century, when a teacher stands at the front of the classroom and students sit on the chairs behind row of desks, learning in the same way to be educated and eventually take their place in the workforce. And in the future of university system education in the 22nd century, I believe education will be more focused on problem-solving learning. The systems will be more adaptive and flexible to the students and society. It will be technological-based. Global citizenship education will be part of the system. Administrative setup of the universities will also be cloned in the virtual world. Pace will be faster, understanding will be deeper, while artificial intelligence will be utilized at all levels. Campuses will build more of intellectuals. And successful 22nd century students need to be more resilient, capable, and confident problem solvers, collaborative communicators, and leaders for a life beyond school. And of course, we won't dismiss the 21st century. It's still in its early days, and there is important work to be done now. We cannot accept that important change will take generations to bring about. With all the tools we now have at our fingertips, change can happen, and happen quickly, and change in education, and most particularly equity, cannot wait. Thank you.
Okay, now our questions session has begun. Please, I open the floor for our guests to ask any questions for our speakers. You're all welcome. Okay, let's take the first question. Of course, yes.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to say thank you so much. This session was truly inspiring. I really genuinely mean this. Thank you. Let me just make a couple of observations. Many of you talked without any notes. Those who did talk with notes were using technology as opposed to us old ones using paper. You are open, brave, forward-thinking. So just on that basis, I really, really am inspired to believe that the next generation of female leaders is here, and we are welcoming you with open arms. For us, thank you. I wanted to ask a question, and this is a genuine question. If you were in a decision-making position, whether as a president of a university or in any of the decision-making positions that we have around the room today, what would be the one decision that you would make that you believe will help other women around you? Let us know what you think. Thank you.
Je me permets de répondre à votre question. Je me dis, en tant que responsable d'université, la première des choses que je pourrais faire pour valoriser le genre féminin, c'est de pouvoir mettre d'abord la parité au niveau des classes et des filières. Comme ça, on donnerait déjà les mêmes chances aux étudiants de pouvoir évoluer. Et c'est vrai que l'homme, on va dire, par nature, a des compétences. la femme encore plus. Mais ce qui est malheureux, en fait, on rencontre que la femme est plus sensible, est plus compatissante, a plus d'émotions pour la gestion de sa famille, de son environnement, et s'investit moins, en fait, dans sa carrière professionnelle. Donc, du coup, pour pouvoir galvaniser ce petit côté un peu trop féministe, je vais dire, c'est de faire comme nos prédécesseurs ont dit, du mentorat, du coaching, des ateliers de public speaking, pour motiver ou bien pour emmener la jeune fille en fait à comprendre qu'elle aussi elle a sa place au sein de la société de maintenant. Donc du coup, ce sont ces petites choses qu'on mettra on va dire en valeur pour que la jeune femme se sente plus ou moins égale à l'homme. Je ne vais pas parler d'égalité, mais d'équité en fait, pour pouvoir lui donner plus de chances à pouvoir être propulsée en fait au niveau institutionnel, professionnel et autres.
Can I add just one my friend here, she's a fellow student with me in the Armed University, and she talked about the equity. In my part, I had the chance to have the same amount of girls and boys in the class. And also I had my supervisor during my 2 years of 4th and 5 years was also a woman. So the thing that she did with us, and I guess that maybe I could do in future if I became a teacher and also in the a professor in the university, is to encourage students, female students, that in how do we say, do not be afraid to speak your words. Speak in front of people. It's okay that you can be stressed. It's okay to stutter in front of people. And I had the chance to hear from inspiring women today in today's conference in the morning that it's okay to stutter, it's okay to talk, it's okay to give your voice, be your representative. For example, in your classroom, I was representative of my classroom in during my 5 years of studies, and this struggle, as Siti Fatima said, will make you stronger, will make you have you won't be afraid anymore of that leadership that you can be in the future. This is all for me.
Je vais juste rajouter à ce qui a été dit et qui est d'ailleurs très intéressant. Alors moi, je vais plutôt insister sur les postes stratégiques en fait. Parce que certes, actuellement, on parle d'un recrutement des enseignantes assez acceptable, mais la plupart d'entre elles n'occupent pas des postes stratégiques. Notamment les postes de direction, de recteur, chef de département. Mais c'est là où tout se décide en fait. Si elles sont recrutées pour juste enseigner et non pas de voix, ne peuvent pas participer au changement, à l'évolution. Voilà, donc j'insisterai plus pour qu'il y ait, comme je l'ai dit dans ma communication, instaurer la parité au sein des postes stratégiques.
Thank you for your question. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Thank you for your honest question, and I'll try to respond it with an honest answer. For me, I believe that to make that decision, I remember I was climbing back down from Mount Toubkal, like in Morocco. I went to the Toubkal summit at 4167 meter, and I was just climbing back down. There was like a family. Then a little girl came up to me and she asked me, literally, what do you want to be in Darija? And my colleagues, they were translating it to me in English, and she's asking me, what do you want to be? Because I thought she was inspired of us hiking up all the way to the summit. And I just simply said one sentence. I just said, I want to be a good person. And because when we teach this unto them, I didn't tell her that I want to be this and that and this and that profession-wise or worldly concepts or whatsoever. I just said I want to be a good person, because when you instill that upon a young children's and the young girls, they'll grow up with that. We teach them cooperation, kindness, and compassion. And when you have all of these, whatever you become, be it a doctor, engineer, politician whatsoever. You become very wholesome, and you're just sincere in what you do, because in this world today, we already lack sincerity. And imagine 2 years, 3 years, 10 years ahead of us. So just be a good person, and everything else will follow. Thank you.
First of all, I must congratulate and appreciate Ísísco for having this particular session at the end. You know, I think they need a big round of applause. It was very thoughtful. It was the most interesting and very inspiring and cute sort of session. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think that we have been talking about, the senior people have been talking about how the tone has been set and how we are making progress in terms of women empowerment and leadership in higher education. And by looking at you with the right skills, with the right attitude, I feel even more hopeful that we are in the right track, and inshallah we have much brighter future. Now my question from you is, do you share these feelings of that we are making progress in the right direction? Do you feel optimistic? Because I personally do feel, because I feel that all the men and women of at senior position, they have set the right direction, and we are going in the positive direction. And with you people, I'm very hopeful. So I'm just wondering that what is your take? How do you think? Do you feel we are going in the right direction? Do you feel optimistic about future in terms of women in higher education? Thank you.
Thank you. I can, yeah, okay. I'll try to keep it brief, but in my opinion, I believe, to be honest with you, there's not a lot of optimistic that's going on around, right? And we enhance the positivity, all the brights and sunshines, but then we kind of shrug everything else under the rug, and that is reality. We don't speak much about it, and we do not confront them, in meeting rooms and with people in power. But the thing is, there's just a lot of division that's going on, and you all, mashallah, everyone's trying their best, going out of their way, like making up this, like organizing this conference itself is already an achievement. But yet again, that's hope there. But what we leave behind unto the future generations to take upon that into the right direction, and with all of the challenges, we need to not only focus amongst ourselves, but also to provide the tools for everyone in all classes, and the upper class or the lower class, it doesn't matter, every single individual in this world. Thank you.
Alors, moi personnellement, je suis optimiste. Je suis vraiment optimiste que les choses vont changer et que toutes les femmes, je dis bien toutes les femmes sans aucune exception, ont cette confiance en soi d'évoluer, que ce soit dans le milieu professionnel, mais aussi dans le milieu sociétal. Je suis vraiment optimiste parce qu'actuellement, nous assistons à un grand changement par rapport à avant. Nous voyons des femmes journalistes, des femmes qui ont cette liberté d'expression, des femmes dans le gouvernement, une forte présence dans le gouvernement surtout, mais aussi des femmes qui arrivent même à diriger ce que l'homme ne peut pas faire. Alors, je ne suis pas en train de clasher les hommes, mais nous sommes vraiment trop présentes dans les administrations. Alors, je suis très optimiste qu'il y aurait un très grand changement. Merci.
Alors, juste un peu, je vais rejoindre cet optimisme-là de mes camarades, tout en insistant sur le fait qu'on prenne en compte les spécificités de chaque société. Donc l'évolution, ce progrès est mesuré à partir de des réalités de chaque société. Il y en a à l'échelle des sociétés qui sont beaucoup plus avancées sur cette question de leadership féminin que d'autres. Sur le plan institutionnel, plusieurs combats ont permis qu'il y a aujourd'hui des dispositions donc, sur le plan institutionnel qui favorisent le leadership féminin, mais aussi l'accès des femmes dans les instances décisionnelles. Maintenant, après, il y a des sociétés, à côté de ces réponses institutionnelles, ont encore besoin donc, de renforcer les programmes de sensibilisation pour que, ces sociétés-là puissent atteindre le niveau escompté. Je vous remercie.
Hi everyone. I'm very optimistic about the future of women in higher education because compared to now, back then we didn't have a lot of women in the higher education. We didn't have women in the universities, but now there's a difference now. We have more women in the education system now. We have more women in the government system. My country, for example, Nigeria, years back we didn't have a lot of women in the university, but now it's different. A lot of students are women. Like we have more ladies in the university. Even in the decision making, we have more women there now. In the government, we have women representing us now. And I think in years to come, in the future, we'll have more of that because there's more sensitization now. People are getting more educated, especially women. They're getting more empowered. They're getting more educated on the importance of education and being in decision making. And there's been significant progress. Okay, for me now, I'm just 21 years old. And in my class, we have more of ladies. Like we have more of women in my classroom, just 2 boys, and the rest are ladies. In the hospital also, where I'm doing my internship, more of the decision making more of people making decisions are women. We have more women in the spaces now, so I believe in the future we'll have more of women in decision making, and I'm very optimistic about it.
I just want to add to those beautiful words that in my case, I always have been inspired by my parents. They always encouraged me to do more, and I could have just stopped with my 5 years degrees of engineering. But I had the chance in my how do we say, my professors, my parents, my brothers too, they've always been encouraging me to do more, add more years of studies. Therefore, I decided to be a PhD student and have more degrees to this. So I just want to say that if not with the help of people, those people who get your hand, try to get you up, I won't be in this position that I am now, and maybe more in the future. So I'm very thankful that we can find people around us, people like you, that inspire us to do more. And we also had the chance in our university to do sessions and conferences with inspiring people who, for example, one day they invited Madame Najat Belkacem Valou to the universities and told us about her how do you say it in English? Her years of studies from her childhood in Morocco to becoming a minister in France. And without this help, I know that we can be optimistic and we say that more women will be in the leadership position afterward and do the decision making that we are talking about today.
I just want to add one more last thing after all what my colleagues have said. First of all, I'm so happy to have them today and to answer your question, to see entities, governmental entities and international organizations such as Ísísco giving us platforms like this to express ourselves and give our ideas and say our opinion about women issues, and especially in higher education, is such a good thing, and it's such a positive thing, and it can be but the biggest sign that says we are going in the right direction. So thank you so much.
Je veux souligner en fait que, optimiste ou pas, on est contraint de pouvoir aller à l'autonomisation des femmes. Parce que tout le monde entier se joint en fait avec les différents objectifs du développement durable, éducation, équité, autonomisation des femmes. Que nous le voulions ou pas, les organisations et les institutions internationales y sont pour. Donc toutes nos politiques locales se galvanisent pour adopter ces différents objectifs au sein de leur politique nationale. Donc c'est quelque chose qui sera fait d'office. Donc, à nos consciences, à vous déjà, nos mères, de pouvoir éduquer la génération future qui pourra emmener aussi la prochaine génération à être dans ce même système d'évolution et émanciper, comme je l'ai dit, les hommes. Si possible, les envoyer à pouvoir réduire cette capacité à être des dominants au sein de notre société.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes our 2 days long international conference on women leadership in higher education. We are very honored for having to hear the voices of the youth, and a lot of the time we hear people saying that youth are the future, but I think after this session it's fair to say the future is present right here, right now in front of all of you. So let's please give a huge round of applause. And may I please request all the panelists to go back to the seats now. Thank you, Ikram, for moderating this wonderful panel. We wish we could hear a lot more, and of course we would have the next opportunity. Now, to make the closing remark and the vote of thanks on behalf of the Ísissko's Director General, may I please request on the stage Professor Dr. Rahil Kamar, the Director of Sciences and Technology Sector at Ísissko. Professor Rahil.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dear professors, presidents of universities, vice chancellors and rectors, dear colleagues, and such a wonderful bunch of students, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Very pleased to be here. We have seen a couple of days of very good deliberations and viewpoints of everybody. Professor Hali has compiled recommendations on these deliberations, and we shall be, as soon as we get them translated into English, we shall be sharing with all of you, and we would really love to have your all's feedback on this. All right, let me just say, I basically, 3 of my teenage years I spent in Saudi Arabia. And I saw the transformation of Saudi Arabia. This is in the early 70s. I don't want to age myself, but it was in the early 70s. I saw that transformation right in front of my eyes, going from a nomadic life to a wealth-oriented life. And that was a beautiful transformation. But more beautiful than that is what one of our colleagues, I think it was Dr. Al-Hamad, pointed out that now they are transitioning towards knowledge economy and towards intellectual economy and intellectual society. And that really gives me a lot of hope that the future of our mankind and of our Muslim countries, member countries, is really safe. And these deliberations have really opened my eyes also to the numerous contributions that our female ladies are making in our societies. And I tell you why that is important. I think, first of all, it is important that we need to have more empathy, and men really do not have that kind of empathy in them. When I see on Twitter, I see a lot of aggression when men are talking, and they're abusive and all that. But whenever I see the comment from a lady, it is very calm, and it is very, comforting. And that is what we need in this society, which is sort of going at each other's throat. And that is very unfortunate. Why are we going at each other's throat? I'm basically a population geneticist. At Oxford University, I worked on the population of humankind. And we and others have shown very clearly that human population, that is the modern human, Homo sapiens sapien, this population began about 200,000 years ago in the Great Victoria Lake region in Africa. So our origin is in Africa. And everybody on this planet who has been tested up till now, they have been shown very clearly through their mitochondrial DNA that they originated from a single mother, which we call the biological Eve. You can, it is in Quran, her mention is there. In Bible, her mention is there. In Torah, her mention is there. She is everywhere. This is the first scientific proof that there was a single woman from whom all of us originated. And it is unfortunate that on this planet, we are all brothers and sisters, but we still cannot stop killing each other. So it's really unfortunate that we are doing that. All right, so in women's in human history, I won't call it evolution, I don't want to, raise any hackles, but in human history, women have played the most important role. Like I said, we have been on this planet for about 200,000 years. For 185,000 years, we were just hunter-gatherers. And when I said hunter-gatherers, most of the hunting was done by men. And men were sometimes successful, sometimes unsuccessful. People like me who hunt, I know very well when we go out, most of the time I come back with an empty bag and my wife and kids are making fun of me. But what sustained human populations at that time was the role of the women who were going out and gathering, nuts and berries and roots and all these other fruits and everything. That sustained human population. If women had not been there, we would have vanished from this planet Earth, really. And it has been very clearly shown by a few dietitians that the caloric input of the women were much higher than what men were contributing in the form of meat and all that. So kudos to the women and a big clap for the women for sustaining human population. There was a time in our history, a few thousand years back, when we went what we geneticists call a bottleneck effect, where the size of the population reduced drastically due to some event. We really don't know, from meteorological event or some event or whatever. And if the women had not been there, our population would have been wiped out from this planet. So it was the women's role which really sustained our population. Another thing, the Y chromosome, which I have part of also, is a relic, it's a graveyard, and I really strongly feel that in future you won't see any males around on this planet, and it will be only populated by females. All right, so really, it's very, very exciting. Dr. Yusra talked about yesterday that, it's very, very difficult trying to bring faculty towards industrial activities and commercial activities. I was Dean of Research, Innovation, and Commercialization before I became the president of the university, and really it took me 5 years trying to convince my faculty member that this is more important than what you're doing. With basic research, I'm a basic researcher myself, with basic research you're contributing to your own self and to knowledge of the world, but it is not contributing positively towards the industrialization and commercialization in your countries. So it is very, very important that we move away from that mindset of basic research towards industrial research. And a classical example is, of course, of Dr. Yusra, who came from the industry and started all these things in Qatar. And I think that is what we need more of. We need more industrial professors rather than tenured professors like me who are stuck in their rut. So we need more of your kind. In the end, I would really like to thank Princess Noura University. This has been a wonderful initiatives of theirs, and we have been partners with them. Thank you very much. If you all had not been with us, we would not have been able to do this. So we are really grateful to you all for this. So a big clap for Princess Noura University. Really thinking forward initiative of theirs, I think, and what we have seen of theirs today and yesterday has been amazing, what the things they are doing. I think we need more of such initiatives. And one thing that I think Shahana suggested, or Dr. Bushra suggested, we need a consortium maybe of women leaders to make sure that we encourage other women leaders who are not doing as well to go forward and flourish. In the end, I would like to thank my team who has been with me throughout, Ismail from Director General Office, Dr. Nidal, without whom we cannot even move our mic from here to there, Yasin from the carpool, who has been shuttling you back and forth and making it sure you all arrive on time. Amin Fatoi, who's been doing a wonderful job. Our translation section, which has been, I've been listening to the translation and they are marvelous. Really, they are marvelous. So, and besides that, our janitorial staff, our other people who are handling our food and everything. So thank you, everybody, and thank you all for coming to this one. And I hope that next year we should be able to hold this in Princess Noura University in Saudi Arabia. Thank you all, and ma salam. Have a safe trip back.